Hey everyone, cheers. Welcome to Riffin with HB, where we talk about old school and underrated bands and try to bring them to the masses. Today we're talking about Foster the People, one of my favorite bands. So excited to talk about them. Hopefully here soon we'll be able to start playing music. It's just gonna probably cost us a little bit of money, but we should be able to pay for a copyright license and start playing some songs from these bands for you guys to make it a little bit more interesting. Um, we'll read just a little bit. I'm going to read just maybe like 5 minutes of notes, and then we'll talk about the band a little bit. I also got some fun facts and stuff we'll talk about afterwards. Appreciate you guys joining. Make sure to hit the like, all that good stuff. All right. We're in 2009, so we're backing up just a little bit from where we've been. 2015, and also the band we're covering on Saturdays, probably the most recent band out of all the bands we've ever covered. Um, but this is we're in 2009 right now. Foster the People, they're an indie pop band from Los Angeles, California. Members include founder and frontman Mark Foster, um, and keyboardist Izum Innes. So those are the people that founded the band. As you can see, there's three people here. We'll get to it in a minute. Um, actually, I want to get to the name first. It's always fun for me to tell people how the name of the band came about. Um, I got it in here somewhere. Give me just a moment. Lots of the people got their name from a misheard phrase evolving from the original name Foster and the People, because Mark Foster, frontman Mark Foster, initially he chose the latter, but friends and listeners often mistook it, leading him to embrace the new interpretation, which he felt better represented the band's goal to foster or nurture people. The original name, the band was originally going to be called Foster and the People, a play on lead singer Mark Foster's last name, but then friends and fans mistook it or misheard it, mistook it, and it stuck with them. And that was one of the big selling points for me listening to them as a kid. Whenever I was younger, um, probably in 2009, not long after. I was 13 years old, so yeah, it's about that time, 14. Um, Whenever I started listening to them, I thought that was really clever. Like it was like, and a part of what I have in my notes is like the intelligence of this guy. I was starting to like put it together, like how he was like forming these band names with the idea. Like his name's obviously Mark Foster, so it's pretty cool to have a band name that kind of talks about what music's supposed to be, unity and coming together. Um, Let me go back to my notes here. Founded in 2009 after spending several years in Los Angeles as a struggling musician and working for a commercial jingle writer. After Foster's song "Pumped Up Kicks" became a viral success, which he wrote in like 5 minutes or something like that. We'll get to that in a minute. That became a viral success in 2010, and the group revealed a record deal from StarTime International and gained a fan base throughout, gained fan base through a small club shows and appearance at music festivals. And after releasing their album Torches, which highly recommend, if you guys are going to check out an album by Foster the People, you got to start with Torches for sure. Listen to it all the way through. It's a great album. That was in May of 2011. Pumped Up Kicks became a crossover hit on the commercial radio. You guys remember this. That was mid 2011. And eventually we reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. And the record also featured the singles Helena B and Houdini, two really great songs. The group received 3 Grammy Award nominations for Torches and Pumped Up Kicks. After touring for 2 years in support of Torches, Foster the People released their second album, Supermodel, in March of 2014, and it was preceded by the lead single, Coming of Age. And in 2017, the band released their third studio album, Sacred Hearts Club, and the addition of Izum and Sean, both former touring members, to the official lineup. From that album, they had their song "Sit Next to Me," peaked at number 42 on the Billboard 100 charts, and was certified quadruple platinum by the RIAA. And between 2018 and 2021, the band released a number of singles, one EP, and one album reissue. A new single titled "Lost in Space" was released on May 31st, 2024, and their fourth album, Paradise State of Mind, was released in August 16th of 2024. Right. Indie pop, synth pop, dance pop, alternative rock, indie rock, neo psychedelia, um, psychedelic pop for sure. Some of the genre titles, if you want to classify it. Lots of people formed in 2009 in Los Angeles, as we just mentioned, rose to fame with their 2011 hit "Pumped Up Kicks," which was recorded in just 5 hours. 5 hours, not 5 minutes. 5 hours by frontman Mark Foster. Still pretty impressive, though. Be able to write a song start to finish, record in 5 hours. And again, it speaks to what I was talking about. It's like musical intelligence, or really knowing how to put in the work. And the band was originally named Foster and the People, but it was changed. And their debut album, Torches, received 3 Grammy Award nominations. Let's see if we can read something here. We haven't. Yeah, he recorded the hit "Pumped Up Kicks" while working as a commercial jingle writer. I'm not sure if the two are correlated necessarily, but it was. This is takes it back a little bit. The song was released online in 2010 and gained traction through blogs, eventually making its way to radio and TV. Foster and the People was a nod to the band Sly and the Family Stone. Not familiar with that band. We need to check this out. Check this out at the end of the show. Yeah, wow, this is funny. I didn't notice this earlier whenever I had this, but this is what I have in my notes right here. Despite its catchy, upbeat nature, Pumped Up Kicks tells the story of a troubled, violent youth, which Foster said was meant to be a conversation starter about gun violence. This is why a lot of people are really polarized about that song, because you either love it or hate it. And a lot of times when people don't like it, it's for that exact reason. This is the reason why I love it, because it has that upbeat feeling, but the lyrics are really super dark. A lot of my favorite bands are like that. You won't think the lyrics are dark until you actually listen to what's going on. I use the example "Hey Ya" by Outkast is an example of that, because the lyrics in that song are talking about the detriment of the world, but people were at the club dancing to it like nothing's going on. And it's a prime example. There are tons of songs like that where the lyrics are really, there's something deep going on there if you listen to it. And Foster the People, they're one of those bands. I make a point of, there's a few bands I listen to that I love. Maybe none that we've mentioned so far, but certain bands, they are okay for radio play. Everyone could just listen to them and like them. Or if you're really into music and you're really into lyrics, you can really dive super deep with these guys. And, they have lots of lore, and their songs tie together in their songs. And listening to that album, Torches, is what I always talk about, how a great song kind of takes you on a journey up, just like a story, and brings you back down. Well, this album does the same thing, and each song does this, but throughout the album, you have a rising and a falling. Their first ever gig at High School Battle of the Bands in Cleveland was a chaotic LSD fueled nightmare where the lead singer still under the influence from the night before, cried on his drummer's shoulder before going on stage. Before taking the stage, the band huddles, pats each other on the back or on the chest, and says "bless." It's kind of very much similar to a Little Stranger, just hyping each other up before you go on stage. Community, especially talk about this a lot. Playing together with people is already hard enough to do, and these people become brothers because they're living together and touring around the world. So it's important to keep that morale for sure. Um, I think that's everything here. We already mentioned a little bit what I was have on my notes about how "Pumped Up Kicks" is really that kind of juxtaposed song. It's really an upbeat song, but the lyrics are kind of really um, serious. It's an ominous feeling to the song. Really, kind of has a feeling like before a storm or something like that. Um, Check out the album Torches if you're going to check out an album by him. Um, Mark Foster, it's funny because as a kid, whenever I've always been in music my whole life, but as I really started to dive into music and learn more about it and understand where bands came from and who their influences were and things like this, when I started to think about Foster the People, I'm like, they're the first people that I ever thought that he's a genius the way he writes music, and no one's taken him seriously. It's a great reason why I do the show because bands like this that you've just heard of because of Pumped Up Kicks, you're not really taking them seriously. But if you're a musician and you sit down and you listen to his music and the way he crafts songs and whole albums together, he's a genius. The way a perfect song like doesn't have too much and it's not lacking anything. It's like a perfectly wrapped package. As I've mentioned this a couple times on the show already, it's like the packaging doesn't have a bunch of glitter where you get it all over yourself and everything, but it's not just like in a cardboard box either. It like comes in like nice packaging with a bow on it. It's perfect. It doesn't have anything more than it needs and nothing less. Because you're thinking to yourself, you're like, oh, I couldn't add anything to make this any better. And you can hear things that they've added in their little intricacies, like little like hi hats or synths or whatever it is in the music that makes their music them, and it makes it a little more intricate than just um, a lot of the old school rock and roll bands, and we love them for that. Their like simplicity and their straightforwardness. But this is what the mashup of doing riffing with HB brings us is now we get music that's super duper intricate because people can use electronics and these this band formed in 2009, so really pretty fresh off the scene if you think about it compared to some of these bands that we've been talking about from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s have been going and going and going for years and years. So it's not really surprising why a lot of people don't take them serious because they're still very fairly new. But if you're a musician and you actually look at them, you'll learn that they're good. You can't deny like how good they are. You might not like their music, you might not prefer their music, but it's like Beethoven. Can't deny the musical genius that lies in something when somebody creates something like that. um, Sly and the Family Stone. Let's check these guys out. We'll check comments real fast. Hey yo, what up, baby? Hey, Ray, what's up? Oreo. Hello, everyone. Mike. See you guys. What's up? What's up? Cheers. Thank y'all for being here, man. Anybody know this band? Sly and the Family Stone. Yeah. What? This is psychedelia, dude. These guys are groovy. Hey, what's up, man? How are you doing? You ever heard of these guys? You ever seen them? No, I don't know if I get to focus. Let's see if I can find a better picture. I mean, these guys are what was happening in the 70s. When is this? When do we think these guys are from? Let's guess. Oreo's heard of them. This is crazy. It's probably one of those bands that I know, but I don't know. This is why I love doing this shit because you always discover something that you never knew. They're a band formed in '66 in San Francisco, California, active until '83. Actually, see, this is why I'm saying like that band only went from '66 to '83, and they were playing longer than Foster has been, or maybe just about as long, right? Their work, which blended elements of funk, soul, psychedelic rock, gospel, and R&B. I think that's pretty obvious in the way they're dressed right now. Everything that's just mentioned. It became a pivotal influence on subsequent American popular music. This is why we got to get our copyright music. We're playing this right now. Let me see if I can play one in my head to see if I can figure out who these guys are. What's a famous one that I would know if I would know one? Popular songs. Everyday people, thank you. I want to take you higher. Oh, I think I know that. It seems familiar. I'm telling you, I'm gonna feel really dumb. Like, I know these guys. I do that all the time with music. There's so much to discover with it, really. And I shh, be really quiet. I should be able to play like 10 seconds of it or something anyway, but let me see if I can just hear it. I don't know this. It's cool. Bella, this is like right up your alley. I don't know this. It's very funky though. Sly and the Family Stone. You may know who they are. Yeah, it's probably music that you definitely hear out, and it's just like me because I'm always like the one bragging on people like you know you hear this song whenever you're out in public. I probably have. I probably heard it a lot, and it begs the question. It's like, are the songs that get stuck in your head, or does that make them a better song? You know, because this band, I just listened to them. They sound really good, but it's not as likely to get stuck in your head as a Marshall Tucker song. It just it begs the question, and it's like this is what people debate about people being sellouts and songwriting hacks and having people write their songs for them, and the whole thing about music because it's just once you understand the mathematics of music, it's just a hack. Anybody can do it, but can you put your own feel, your own style, and your own pizzazz, and do it authentically? Do it yourself. That's the hard part, and it's hard enough to do it yourself. We talk about this on the show all the time. It's the language of music. Being able to get together with a band and then be able to play the guitar and play the drums without saying a fucking word and killing that shit, like bouncing off of each other. And then when you add three people or add four or five people, it gets more and more intricate. And then you take into account people have personalities. Like they're human beings. They have like their own intricacies. Like somebody likes to play music quieter, then the person likes to play louder, and then some people like to play it faster, and some people like to play jazz, and they want to have more influence of jazz in their music. And no, man, we're a rock band, and that causes bands to split up. Happens a lot. Sometimes bands split up because they want to dress up or become a theatric, and other band members don't want them to do that. There's tons of bands who've split up like that. If you guys know, you know. Because against drama, I don't like to like throw people under the bus, but there have been bands that have done that. It's the language of music. You know, let's articulate like what music is just mathematics, but to do it with art and style, just like art, really. If you think about it, all art is just mathematics. It's like angles and stuff like that, shades and color theory. But putting your style to it is where it becomes intricate, becomes unique. We were just talking about this about how to um, ask questions, and that's really thinking outside the box and having contrast is really what helps you in a situation of music. And this is why I always mention about how, we always want to get to a great position in life where we have all the equipment and all the people to help us out and do the things we want to do to make music. But some of the best music ever written was written with contrast. People who were, in bands and apartments traveling across the world and stuff like that, trying to make it big, gave them experience. Without that experience, we wouldn't have got some of the best rock albums we've ever gotten, some of the best albums in general that have ever existed, because people were not at the top of the charts writing these songs. This is before they got big. This is how they got big. All right, where we've been at right now? We're in about 20 minutes or so. You guys want to see any bands? Let me go. We'll get out here in just a couple minutes. Um, this weekend we are covering a band called Equally Opposite. I'm excited to cover these guys. They've been popping up on my Instagram feed, and I kept coming back to them like these guys are really cool. We talked about Little Stranger. You guys remember this a couple weeks ago? Little Stranger is one of my favorite band. I feel like these guys are like a modern day version of that. They carry the same like enthusiasm and ridiculousness and comedy with their rap, and do really serious, sick flows. So, um, yeah, they're a hip hop duo, equally opposite. If you guys want to spoil and check them out as well for Saturday, that's who we're going to be covering. But yeah, if you guys want to check Foster out, go check out the album Torches. Listen to it all the way through. Listen to the full album, and then after that, you guys can go dabble around in the other stuff that they got. um, and I don't have a band picked out for next week, but I have a list. Maybe we'll do like Van Halen or something. I've been thinking about covering Van Halen. We got Metallica out of the way. It'd be cool to get Van Halen, get another rock band in there, heavy metal rock band. Van Halen's going to be kind of hard to cover though because of the whole Roth and switching off singers and shit. So a Roth Hagar thing. So we're gonna try to keep it short and sweet, but I feel like that's going to be a really long episode. Bunch of like, well, this guy was here this time, then after that, this happened. It's kind of like when Metallica cut their hair. It's really hard to cover because, yeah, I didn't live through that time period. And to me, when I grew up, Metallica and Led Zeppelin and Nirvana, they were all coming out at the same time. I had no idea. But to people who lived through it, they have their personal experiences with these bands. So it shaped how they felt. Their biases are true because they saw it with their own eyes. Honestly, I mentioned this a couple times already, especially with the band like um, Jesus Christ, Van Halen. Whenever you're a kid, you're not able to tell the difference between Hagar and Raw. It's all just rock and roll, man. And you're probably not even telling that they're the same band, even if they're the same singer. You're still not. You're like, I don't know. It's just all rock and roll. You don't know when the bands are. You don't know who they are until you start to get older. And you're like, oh wow, that's the same band. I didn't know that was the same band who sung that song. I didn't know the Police was Message in a Bottle and On the Moon, like Walking on the Moon. That's crazy. Oh, I would have never known. And you start to learn these things, especially like if you start to realize that you probably started doing this from the age of about 11 to 13, because that's when kids start to develop a lot of musical interest, and this when their musical part of their brain starts to really develop. Judas Priest, I have them on my list. We're going to cover them soon for sure. Another heavy one of the big five, So yeah. Um, Lost my train of thought. Yeah, this show is one of my favorites because it actually makes you be able to rekindle that love. That's what I was just mentioning. Yeah, when you're about 12 to 11, 12, 13 or something like that, so we start to do this in school. That's whenever I quit doing my schoolwork and I started just I wanted to know all about Kurt Cobain and who he was, where he came from, what happened with him, you know. And I wanted to that made me figure out, oh well, Dave Grohl is the singer of Foo Fighters. I didn't know that. And so like I was saying, we don't know these things until we learn about it and like, oh, it opens another door because his influences were the Pixies, bands like I would never know about the Pixies to this day if it wasn't for me researching that kind of stuff. And that's what I've tried to do here is take those bands and then show them out to other people. Old school, underrated. Because the chances are I've covered a band here that you have not known. Chances are. And if you have known every band here, that's pretty good. You're shooting 100, then I'm gonna throw somebody off here eventually. Like there's gonna be a band here that's either old school or underrated that you're not used to listening to. But that if you give a chance, it will open up a whole new door of potential music, styles of music, and because once you start to listen to Foster the People, there's going to be other bands that are just like Foster the People that have that kind of indie pop sound to them, and you're like sort of recognize that sound, a psychedelic pop or whatever. Definitely, the backbone of my music is really old school rock and roll, like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Linkin Park, even. So I'm saying? I kind of like wrap all these things up into one bundle. I know it's crazy, but it's just how it works. Because to me as a kid, all that shit was bumping on the radio, and it was all kick ass. To me, I was like, I don't care who it is, like it's all rock and roll. But now, like, well, I'm not even now. I mean, I like as I grew older and started to really get into music. This is where my musical taste started to lead me is to bands like Foster the People. Um, cool. Cheers. Cool. Yeah, I got them ready. I got them written down. We should cover them, man. Maybe we'll do that next week too. We'll fill them in. So I think maybe that'll fill up next week's slots for us. We'll do um, Van Halen on Thursday, and then next Saturday we'll do Slide and the Family Stone. I'm gonna listen to them. I'm gonna kind of research about them and see what's up. Get a little bit of culture in my blood. That'll be nice. It sounded good. It sounds like something I'd be into. Definitely has a very hippie vibe. Sometimes it does get lost. You're right, man. Just gets lost in the ether. It's hard. You're fighting against so much freaking. It's just it's music being generated by people who are not even the singer of the song. You know what I mean? It's like people are just like, and it's very much like him writing these jingles, except for instead of writing it for shows or for commercials, you're just writing it for people. And that's how a lot of some of the most famous musicians that we know are the people who actually wrote the songs. John Bellion, it's a guy we're going to cover here soon. He's one of my favorite artists, and he writes a lot of the songs for people that you know, but he doesn't get the credit, and so you don't know his name. But if he wrote and kept his songs and sang them for himself, he would be known. And that's just my opinion on that. I think that people should keep it for themselves. It's like the universe is giving you this, and it's your choice to do whatever you want to with it. You can give it away if you want, but it's like it gave it to you. It's a gift to you to keep for yourself, and you can share it with people if you'd like, but you don't give it to somebody. I don't know. That's my personal opinion on that. I'm a big believer in, me personally, I don't have no one writes my lyrics. No one writes my songs. No one influences my style. I do it all myself. 100% myself. It's my thing. It's my project. It's my hobby. It's what I do. That's what it's my laboratory. I get to create it and I get to add a little bit more tempo if I want. I don't have to worry about dancing with 4 or 5 other people to get it to sound right, which would be cool. I'd be down for that. But like my music is my project. It doesn't even have a name. It's not like, oh, I call myself this or, it's just music I make. So a lot of them don't even have names. I noticed that the other day when I was showing my friends, they're like, what is this called? I'm like, it's just a song. I have no idea. Yeah, I love doing it. Then back to what I was saying, the show kind of like rekindles that love of like being a 13-year-old kid in school and trying to figure out like, wow, how did this band get their name? Who are they? Where they come from? What time period they come from? Who are their influences? Things like that. I love looking at the bands that I love. I'm like, how did they get there to that sound? Like, how do you get to a sound like Nirvana or Linkin Park or even Foster the People or some of the new bands we cover? Like, we said this with Little Stranger. Little Stranger's influences were the Gorillas. So, I mean, you get it from a band like Gorillas to Little Stranger. Totally different, but yet it's like still has some of that DNA to it a little bit. That's what art is. Obviously, you take influence. I mean, I talked about this. You can't, if you're born into a white room with no influence around, it's like, what ideas would you have? What thoughts would you have? Really, we're influenced so much by the music we listen to. So it's important to be open minded, really dive back into it, and rekindle that love with music because we do get so. I mean, to your point, we get so like numb to it because it's everywhere, and we're listening to it all the time, and we get so stuck in our ways, sort of just listening to the same shit over and over on the same playlist. We have a comfortable playlist that we click on; it's reliable, so we never branch out. And I'm pretty good about like stopping and be like, huh, I wonder how, because especially with the apps now, you can like do a discover thing where it'll like blend up new music into your playlist. And that's all the time how I discover new music. And then there's obviously YouTube channels like Sugar Shack and tons of other places like Jam in the Van, where Tiny Desk Concert, you can find um, new bands that you never heard of before. And watching them play live is definitely how you get to really see the vibe of the band. These guys equally opposite if you check them out online. That's how what drove me to them to be able to be like, yeah, these guys are really cool. Like seeing them do their thing and a little stranger vibes for sure. Get up there and just be comfortable and like comedic with it, like just goofing with it, man. Not even taking it serious and killing it. Well, yeah, we've been running for a while. We'll get out of here, guys. I appreciate y'all being here. We'll be back tomorrow. It's our Five Agreement Friday. We're actually in the Five Agreement book now. So yeah, be skeptical and learn to listen. So go listen. Yeah, go check out Torches by Foster the People. Go check out Equally Opposite. Just go check them out on YouTube. They have an Instagram page as well. Just check out some of their stuff. Click around. Cool. And I'll see you guys later. If you guys want to see a band, make sure you just drop it in the comments and I'll get to it. Um, I got Slayer on here for you, man. We'll be getting to them soon enough. I had a list and I was going through it for a while, but I decided what's better for me is just to pick them out, like just snatch them out the bucket as I see fit. Because what happened a few times is a few people ended up passing away, and I wanted to represent them on the show in honor, right? Bob Weir and Brad from Three Doors Down. So now I'm just kind of picking them as we go. That way, if anything pops up, I can be like, because I hate going on my word. Be like, I said I was going to do this band this day, and then I had to go back. So it causes a whole thing in my head. So I'm just like, if I can maybe push a band a day or whatever, it's a little bit more manageable for me. Just in case anything happens, it's honorable. But yeah, equally opposite this Saturday. Tomorrow we'll see you guys for our Mystics with our Five Agreement Friday. And yeah, you guys have a good night. Bye, everyone.